The current survival is barely in the 1% mark, even less, again, depending on the population. And I should say, like, again, if we look at something like Inner Bay of Fundy, the returns there are, in many of the rivers, it's 0. Or it's 1 or less than 10 salmon in the Inner Bay of Fundy. We're quite excited to work with InnovaSea, who is the technology provider, to find a product where we could then actively track salmon in the oceanic environment. So currently, we equip salmon with transmitters, and they go out and they will have to be picked up by these stationary receivers. The new technology would allow us to use ships and Coast Guard vessels, whatever vessels are out there, and put these receivers on board of those moving platforms, and they would then opportunistically pick up the salmon that, again, are on their path to wherever they need to be going, whether it's Greenland on the Miramichi Cays or some other destination in some other Atlantic salmon populations. So that is one piece of the key technologies here, that we would be able to actively find where the fish are. But a second puzzle has been, it's really not those fish and salmon that actually live and come back that are of most interest. For us to really understand what is going on, we need to find out those fish that don't make the journey back, the fish that die in the sea, because that's the part of the puzzle we really want to understand. Why are they dying? Where are they dying? So the second piece of new technology we're hoping to deploy here is a type of a tag that would tell us when the fish is no longer alive. It would tell us, hello, I'm fish number 1, 2, 3 from Miramichi, and now I'm dead and I'm in this location. So if we start to find areas where the mortality is higher than in surrounding areas, then we can start to look at that area specifically. What is going on there? Is that possibly an area where there's a lot of gray seals? Is that an area where ocean surveys didn't find any good nutritional sources and that sort of thing? So we're interested on the fish that are dying, unfortunately, to solve the critical question. Salmon is interesting in that, of course, that they go back to their home river. So they leave their home river, they go to the ocean, and they go back to their own home river where they were born. So depending on the population of interest, they are also taking different migratory paths and going into potentially different areas. Here in North America, of course, the largest feeding grounds are off the coast of West Greenland. So it seems to be sort of a meeting location for all salmon, really, to be going and feeding, getting real fat and condition themselves before they come back. So from a Miramichi salmon perspective, the first key area where they're going to is the southern Gulf of St. Lawrence. So there are fish that are disappearing in that area. So the southern Gulf of St. Lawrence would be an interesting area to be understanding where the salmon are at any given time. Then they go off out to the larger areas out of the Strait of Belle Isle. But then they enter the Labrador Sea, and that's another big black box to be trying to solve what is going on in the Labrador Sea. But then there are other salmon populations in New Brunswick. Let's say the Bay of Fundy. We have the Outer Bay of Fundy, Inner Bay of Fundy salmon, and Inner Bay of Fundy salmon would be staying in the Bay of Fundy and moving around there and then hope to make it back to their home rivers. That is currently not the case, so they're disappearing. Where are they disappearing? Outer Bay of Fundy salmon, again, take the trek out of first in the Bay of Fundy, but then venture to the Greenland area again. So very different migratory pathways, a lot of areas to track, depending where the population is originating from.